despair. Your love is always there through my uncertainty. Your love is with me, and when I fall on your love.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, as we enter spring, our goat has had her kids. We decided this year we'd bottle feed our kids, and we thought we knew what we were doing because we had goats before and we bottle fed them. But what we didn't realize is how difficult it is to bottle feed the kids when the mom is not there. That's what we came to learn, and that's what we will share with you, inshallah, our experience in this video. We decided that we would only keep one goat, the girl, and we named her Nilla. Goats are herd animals, so they don't like to be alone. When the temperature had dropped, we decided that we needed to bring her in the house as well because we didn't want her to be outside in the dark, in the cold, all alone. We found out quickly that she was noisy, and she went on and on, bleeding until everyone else fell asleep. Eventually, she fell asleep too.
And when I fall on your love, I call.
Typically, when goats are bottle fed, where they're bottle trained, I should say, they will automatically take the bottle. You know, you just put it in their face and they kind of hold their heads up and take it. Well, we're having some trouble with this goat because she was never bottle trained, and we had to get rid of her mother immediately. And so she is supposed to be taking the bottle, and she's not doing that. I know that it is hard. I've read how hard it can be. But for her, let me show you what I'm dealing with. So I just squeeze her mouth here. And yes, she's going to fight. And when she kind of has it open, I just really quickly stuff it in there. Come on. There. So now once it's in there, that's half the battle. Goats like to... Okay, here we go again. Bismillah. You would think because she was hungry, she would go ahead and start eating, but that's not necessarily the case. She doesn't really know how to eat. It got to the point where I thought this goat might starve to death because I would get it in her mouth and it would just sit there. Nothing would happen. It got to the point where she would even stop fighting me. I could just get it to her mouth, force it in her mouth, and once it was actually in her mouth, she would just sit there as if she would just submit. She's just going to hold it in her mouth. And she would just sit there and do nothing. And I really thought she was going to starve. I started making dua and asking Allah, please help us because this goat is definitely going to starve. But she got it in there, and then eventually she started chewing at it. So that was a good sign. We started about 6 a.m. and then we gave her a 2-hour break, and then we kept going for 10-minute intervals every 2 to 3 hours. And it was this, just seeing her bite at the bottle, nibble at the bottle, was a really big breakthrough. And I was really happy and grateful that Allah Ta'ala allowed her to get this far because initially she couldn't take the bottle, and then it went to her just holding it in her mouth and doing nothing. So this was a lot. Literally been at this all day. That's what you want to see. Thank you.
I am a beggar, knocking at your door through my despair. Please know what's more. Lost in this world of dust and trial. Your door is my only way out through my despair. Your love is always there. Through my uncertainty. Your love is with me. And when I fall on your love, I call to heal me, to love me, to comfort, to protect me. Ashraf al-Arabi wal wanna be